know what it is to be loved.
Yes.
Or they don't realize that God loves them. Or they don't realize that their neighbors are concerned about them.
Definitely.
Because we've become so seclusive. You know, or I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk to this. I'm not going to talk to that person. I'm not going to do this.
Yes.
But one thing I love about this economy, this recession,
It brought us
and this season,
Yes.
is causing us to take a second look.
Yes.
And to realize that we need each other. We need each
Yes,
other.
we do.
You know,
Yes, we do.
a little love, it doesn't cost you anything.
That's right.
And smile.
Yes.
When you smile, there was a song they used to sing, when you smile, the whole world smiles with you.
Yes.
It costs you nothing to smile. Matter of fact, it causes the wrinkles not to set in your face.
I'm going to smile.
So smile.
Yes.
You know, sometimes a person just needs to know, you know, it's going to be okay.
Definitely.
You know.
You know, Gwen, it's something that I do when I make a call, a professional call or something. I call and I said, "Hi, how you doing?" And the person on the other end always get hesitant. And I said, "How was your day?" And they really get hesitant. Or if I go into the grocery store or any professional setting, I say, "Hi, how are you?" And they look at me and I said, "You're stung, huh?" And they say, "Yeah, no one ever asked me that." They literally, every time I do it, and I do it every day, and I said, and even when I go to the doctor, I said to my doctor, "How are you doing today?" He said, "No one ever asked me that." And I said, "You know why I do that? Because people want to feel loved.
Exactly.
They want to feel like someone cares.
Is concerned. Exactly.
Someone's concerned. Or I'm one that love to smile. I'll give a smile. And what's so funny when I'm out in the community, when I say, "Hi, how are you?" And they say to me, "Where do I know you from?" And I say, "You don't know me. I'm just saying hi to you. Or I'm just saying, how are you today? Or I'm just giving you a smile." And the response is always, "No one does that."
Exactly.
You know? And I don't want to take the credit for it. It's because the love of God is in me.
Exactly.
It's because the joy.
And we've become a nation
Yes.
that we've turned away from the things of God.
Yes.
And I know you said we don't want to be too spiritual, but you know, I think it's time for us to get back to our roots.
Yes.
You
Going
know,
back to
that's
the
what we was
basics.
founded upon.
Yes.
And until we come together as a nation, as a
Yes.
community,
Yes.
as a home, as a family, you know, things won't get better.
That's right.
But if we come together, we stand. Divided we fall.
You know, me and you were talking about challenging people to get out and go see our seniors. You know, just picking up the phone, going to the convalescent home. That's something that me and Gwen do. We don't have no one in there that we know per se, but we go to the convalescent homes and just walk in the room. And the way their faces light up when they see us, and they look at us, and they love children. They love children. When you bring children to the convalescent home, I guess it takes them back to when they had children. But when we walk into those rooms, it brings such a joy, such an excitement, such a smile that we can never pay for.
Exactly.
And we need to take time out to knock on our neighbor's door and say, "You know, Miss Smith, do you need something from the grocery store?" Or, "I just came to have a glass of coffee with you," or a cup of milk, or some tea and some crackers. You can't pay for that.
I grew up in the era when we was children where our parents sent us to the neighbor's house.
Yes.
If they were sending me to the store, they would say, "Well, go ask Miss Smith, does she need anything from the store?"
Yes.
You know, especially if she was a widow or she was elderly. They, you know, everybody looked out for each other.
Yes.
But all of these are seasons of life. Every season has its purpose. And I just want to say to our listening audience today that God gives provision for each season that we're in. He will always provide for us.
Always provide.
Always.
Always.
So we just have to trust and know that this too shall pass. This season also is going to, it's not going to stay forever.
It's not going to stay forever.
No.
Look at how this winter everyone had to go and buy the snow rakes. You know, I think I heard there are people talking about they probably sold one or two. But he had someone to create that tool. You know, I mean, something that you would never think of. I'm going to need a rake to
Who would
rake
have ever
snow.
thought?
Who would ever thought?
Yeah.
But he prepared. He
Yep.
had someone to sit down one day and said, "You know what? I'm going to create something." And God made it where, because we were in a state of everyone needed to be blessed. You know, we were saying, "Oh, we wish the snow go away." But the plowers made money.
Yep.
The guy at the hardware made money.
Yep.
And I began to say, no, don't complain about that.
He made provision.
he made provision, because I'm quite sure the hardware business, we're not doing great because people wasn't really spending.
Exactly.
But this year, you interview someone in the hardware season, they're going to say, we were productive. It was plenteous.
Yes.
The house was, their house
was
met
filled.
its need.
Yes.
It was filled. Why? Because God created the snow to come, and people were able to go out and purchase something so small, but so greatly.
And Kathy, I live on a private street. So the town doesn't plow us, So just imagine the snow. And there's 3 houses on the street, and we all have to get together and dig each other out. None of us move unless we all can get out there and dig each other out.
Right.
So it costs us as neighbors to become more friendly, to become more loving, to be more concerned, and more helpful for each other.
And we have to be.
We have to be.
We have got to a point in life that I know that I used to see people on the side of the road broke down. I would stop and say, "You need any help?" But now I might pull my window down a little bit and say, "Do you have a cell phone, or do I need to dial a number?" And we have got so afraid because of things that happen to reach out and to help. Some people say, "Well, if I help, I might get sued," or if I do this, take a risk, take a chance. Someone needs you at that moment, in that time. Someone needs a courage word, a kind word.
Yes.
Someone needs you to just say, "I love you." Someone needs to say, "I appreciate you." Someone needs you to say, "I adore you." Someone needs to tell someone, "I like the way you wear your hair. I like your cologne," or "I like what you have on. I like that color on you. You look great." Because someone just needs to hear some words
of encouragement. Yes. And it's a new season.
It's a new season.
I love that topic.
Yes.
It's a new season.
Don't stay in that season.
Things are changing.
Yes.
People are changing.
Yes.
People are, we're going back to our roots.
Yes.
We're going back. Things are changing. So it's a new season.
Yes.
And embrace the season.
Yes. And don't be afraid to change with the season. That's another thing. Change is awesome.
Yes, it is.
Change, a lot of people can't adapt to change. A lot of people are afraid of change, but change is exciting.
It is.
One thing the big companies do, the big warehouses, they always like to hire new people. You know why? Because they come with fresh ideas. People that's been on the job 30 and 40 years, they stuck in their ways. We did it this way. We don't want to change. But you bring someone fresh out of college with some new ideas and ready for change. They were introduced a new concept or introduced something new, and that boss will say, "Hey, we never thought of that." Change is awesome.
And it does not mean that the old way was wrong or right.
Yes.
And it does not mean the new way is wrong or right. But what it does mean is we can get together and we can come up with a better way.
Yes.
The old with the new, a little bit of this. There's a wise man in our life that says line upon line, precept upon precept. And that's what it's all about.
Yes.
I have something to give, you have something to give. When a sower went out to sow the seed, some fell on stony ground, some fell on good ground.
Yes.
So we all have a part to play in this.
Yes.
And the only way the economy is going to get better, we have to do it.
Yes. And where are you dropping your seed?
Exactly.
And even if you drop your seed, just like you have a barren yard and you put seed down, and in some places grass grows, and some places it's not going to grow. But what are you doing with your seed? Have you planted your seed? Have you watered your seed? The Bible talks about having faith of a grain of a mustard seed. Such a small seed, but grows so greatly.
A mighty tree.
Yes.
Yes.
In the book of Ecclesiastes 3, and we put that out there on the screen. And the reason why I wanted people to look at that, because it says a time to be born, and it's a time to die.
Yes.
There are seasons. People say, "Well, why did this have to happen?" We are not here to stay forever.
There's a season.
It's a season. There's rain. There's snow. There's storms. And storms come, but they go. There might be a storm in your life right now. You might be laid off, but do something. Don't just sit there and cry about it. Do something. Get productive. Well, you might say, "Woman of Destiny, I went and I put in 100 applications." Put 101. What are you doing different to change your season? Are you still doing the same old thing? Do you still have the same old resume? Do you still have the same old attitude? I'm trying. Be like that ant. They said when an ant gets together, he prepares in the summer. Why do he prepare in the summer?
Because he knows winter is coming.
He knows winter is coming.
Not only the ant,
yes,
the squirrel.
Yes.
You know, they prepare. And you know, Kathy, one thing I love about what you were just saying is we have to prepare ourselves.
Yes.
And you know, maybe you put out 100 resumes. But maybe that's not God's plan for you.
Yes.
Maybe he wants you to go and start your own business.
Yes, I like
maybe
that.
he wants you to do something different.
Yes.
You know, maybe it's time for you to come out of the corporate setting. Maybe it's time for you to put those ideas to work.
Yes.
You know, maybe it's time for you to invent something. You know, we all have a purpose and we have a plan.
Yes.
And we all have a part to play in this. You know, so don't think outside of the box.
Yes.
You know, maybe it's time for you to come out.
I like that, Gwen, what you said. It's so funny you said that. I went to work and I was making oatmeal a week ago. And I said, I didn't want to make my clients some oatmeal that didn't taste good. So I put a little butter in the pot, a little cinnamon, a little nutmeg, a little cream, a little salt, and the aroma of the house was awesome. And 2 nurses walked in and they said, "What is that?" And I said, "It's called love." And they said, "You need to bottle that." And they began to talk to me and say, "No, Kathy, no. Have you ever decided to come up with your own perfume?" And I said, "How are you going to take oatmeal and talk about perfume?" They said, "The aroma that's in the room is so awesome. You need to bottle it." But they made me think out of the box.
Exactly.
And I began to say, you know what? It would be nice to create something that's called love. Yesterday I was with a group of people and I began to tell them I want to write this book for children. And I can't tell you all my ideas, but I began to share the ideas with them. And they said, "Do it." And as I began to think about thinking out of the box, what season I'm in, this would be a great time to start writing that book. And I began to, what made me talk about it was the young lady said she's in her freshman year of college and she's a writer. And I said, "Writer, huh?" I started thinking, maybe you can help me write this book. And when I began to tell her about it, she said, I would love to help you.
See?
I said, well, I tell you what, if you help me write this book, I'll give some money towards your tuition if it becomes successful. So to make a long story short, a book will be coming out soon.
All right.
We're going to get together and make it happen. It's something I want to give back to children.
Another season.
Another season.
Another season.
And let's talk about this. I know we don't have long, but if you don't do it in your season, and your season is over, like me talking about the book, or you talking about someone going out and creating their job or developing something, your season will pass. And then you will do it out of season. You will say, okay, I have this idea. And God is speaking, saying, do it right now. Do it right now. And then you begin to say, you know what? I'm out of season because you didn't do it. I just want to take a minute and say, Gwen, I thank you for coming on Women of Destiny.
It was wonderful, as usual.
When we get together, it's so exciting. We just want to go on and on and on. But I want to take a minute and I want to say to that person, I don't know what season you're in, but it's a new season. It's a new day. I want you to dream. I want you to live. Stop complaining about where you at. There's winter, there's spring, there's summer, there's fall. What season are you in? It's time for you to move out of your season and do something productive.
Yes.
And I want to take a minute. I want you, Gwen, to look in that camera. I think we have 30 seconds and just leave a deposit on someone that's watching. Again, thank you for watching Women of Destiny.
I just want to say to you, embrace your season.
Yes.
And this too shall pass. No matter where you are in life, no matter what your situation is, it's going to pass.
Yes.
Seasons are not designed to stay forever.
Yes.
They're change.
Yes.
There's a purpose. There's a plan for you in your life. Embrace it.
Yes.
God bless.
Again, we want to thank you again for watching Women of Destiny. We just want to say be blessed. God bless you. It's a new season. Have a blessed day.